All right, tonight what we're going to work on is the fundamentals. All right, we're going to start off with do some slow aim fire, work up into the shots from the ready, and then working shots from the holster. All right. Can you make sure that's clear for me? Good to go. All right, first thing we're going to go over tonight, we're going to go over stance, and I want everybody to self-critique themselves. Abe, Dave, guys, you, this buddy's out here, everybody's got friends out here. Help your buddy out and critique him. Look at his stance. If he starts doing something once we start shooting and I don't catch it, but you do, his stance is off, he's starting to lean back or stand up, tell him to correct his stance. Also, self-critique yourself. Whenever you're shooting, if you see you did something wrong, you don't want to make that same mistake again. Change it and make sure you're doing it right the next time. First thing we're going to go over is our stance. Good combat stance. I advocate going and being in the same stance regardless of what weapon system you shoot. Shotgun, rifle, pistol, doesn't matter. Alright? If you're standing flat-footed on the range, we don't want to be toe-to-toe, resting back on our heels. Alright? Even a 9mm and a guy my size, if I start firing it off, it's going to slow the recoil, it's going to start bouncing me back, and I'm sure everybody has seen guys on the range where they're sitting like this and it looks like they're shooting back here. That's because they started out here and they continually fire and fire and fire and they don't adjust their stance until they're back here. Alright, even with a 9mm it'll do that. Your stance, you should take about a half step back, about where your toe on your strong leg should be about on the instep of your foot on your weak leg. Should be just outside of what shoulder width should be and slightly step back. Me, when I shoot the assault rifle, a machine gun or something, I take a more aggressive stance and I go about toe to heel on my weak foot. Alright? It depends on what you're shooting. This, usually I'll try to stay in this type of stance constantly, but if I'm just shooting a pistol, I'll take a light step forward and be about it at the instep of my other foot. Alright, just slightly outside of shoulder width. You don't want to be too far apart like that to where you're a little bit off balance or you got too much of your weight out on either foot. Go ahead and keep it in there where your weight's centered up. Targets, when we're facing the targets, down line, toes toward the target, shoulders toward the target. Alright? And a lot of people say, well, I've had people say, well, I'd rather blade off to the target because it gives me a lower profile. Well, the problem with blading off to the target is if he's got a gun and you got a gun, and he takes a shot at you, you shoot at him, he shoots back at you, and he strikes you in the side or in somewhere in the armpit area, he's going to get a through and through shot. He's going to hit more vital areas if you're standing bladed than if you're standing straight forward. If he hits me here, he's going to get the left lung. If he hits me here, he's going to get the right lung. If I've got armor and I've got a plate on, he isn't going to get nothing. It's going to hurt, but I'll be able to fight through it and carry on with my job and hopefully take him out. But if I'm standing like this, shooting at Abe, my armor doesn't protect me, and if he does get a shot, even if I'm unarmored, I've just given him every piece of guts I've got in between this side and this side. He's going to go through both lungs, my heart, everything. So, toes toward the target, alright? Take a good aggressive stance, just like you would if you were fighting or you were boxing. You were getting ready to fight somebody. Alright, that's the stance I want to see you in. If you start seeing that you're leading your foot too far forward or one of your partners do, I'm just going to tell you adjust your stance. If you hear me say adjust your stance, just look down. Right before I get ready to shoot, if I come down with the box and talk to my shooters or somebody comes and asks me, are you ready? The first thing I do is look down at my feet, check my weapon, and make sure we're good to go. And then I'll tell them, yep, I'm ready. Alright, don't just automatically say you're ready. Check and look, because even me, I'll be jacking around, jaw jacking, and the next thing you're ready, oh yeah, and you're standing the wrong way, you're not even set up. Alright, so getting that good aggressive combat stance. Alright, next thing, pistol. Anybody left-handed? Good. Nobody got punished today. Alright, left-handed or right-handed. Alright, when we grab the pistol, we use what we term a 60-40 grip. 40% in your strong hand. The reason why is this has got to work independently, all of these. If you got it balled up in the fist and this sticking out here like this, but the rest of your hands tightened up, you're going to tend to slap because you don't have as fine a motor control of the end of your finger. Alright, so you want to keep this hand nice and loose. What I usually do is tell them, hey, if it's just the same thing as if I'm shaking his hand. Nice firm grip, that's about what you want. I ain't trying to break his hand, just a nice firm grip. Or like you're holding a hammer. Everybody knows if I'm going to hammer nails, I hold the hammer lightly to where I can tap them in. If I death grip that thing down and start hammering, I'm going to miss that nail and put the daggone hammer through the wall. So hold it like you're holding a hammer. Finger's going to be straight and alongside the slide down underneath the lower slide, or on the lower portion, the lower receiver. Right up along there. If you've got a Beretta or whatever, just don't stick it over across the trigger guard and Rest it there. Make sure it's up high and along slide the side, or underneath the slide. If you leave it there, if something is to happen, you slip, roll on some brass, and you start to fall. There's a little thing called sympathetic reflex. Whatever this hand does, this hand will want to do. So if I fall and reach and grab for something, this hand's going to want to fall in and reach and grab just like the left hand will. All right, so we don't want to have any AD. So keep it high and along the side of the slide. All right, this hand, this is your support hand, your weak hand. This is the one that does all the supporting of the grip and locks the weapon in. This knuckle that meets the palm of your hand to your finger, that's where the trigger guard's going to sit. All right, you're going to close those fingers around there and sandwich this hand butt to butt, and then lock this thumb down along the side. When I've got my proper grip, you can see that my thumb and my finger are almost the same length across. I go a little bit further forward because at long distance I tend to push my rounds left, so I overcompensate a little. As long as it looks somewhat similar to like this, you're good to go. If you're coming way out here, there's a problem. If you tuck your thumbs in like the old revolver style, there's a problem. You're leaving too much of the weapon exposed. Make sure you've got a good two-handed grip on the weapon. This hand's doing the 60%, and all this one's doing is just holding it so the trigger can work, so your finger can work the trigger. On the trigger press, when we get ready to start shooting, trigger press, we don't want too much of our finger pushed in through the trigger. You want pretty much right in between the tip and this first digit right here. That's where the trigger, your finger ought to sit on the trigger. Right in the middle of the trigger, not too high and not dragging the bottom down here. On the Glocks, if you drag the bottom, we get a lot of shooters that do that, you're going to end up with a sore finger and a blister on this side, and pretty soon you're going to be sick of shooting. You're going to want to put the gun down. All right, you're going to start concentrating more on your finger than you are on your shots. Your sights, what I tell my students, basically your speedometer for the gun. So when I tell you to take one shot, you're going to align your sights, you're going to press the trigger and fire one shot. Follow through. After you fired that one shot, weapon's going to go through recoil. You're going to go ahead and go through your trigger stroke again, get it ready to fire, regardless of whether it's double action, single action, or the Glock. And you're going to go ahead and realign your sights, ready to take that shot. Don't need to take that shot. Then we're going to go straight trigger finger, depress the muzzle, scan, and then come back to the ready. All right. There's going to be multiple shots. Multiple shots. We're going to work on it from the ready, and then we're going to work on some of it from the holster. All right, multiple shots on target. The reason we're putting multiple shots on the target is because they need more than 1 or 2 rounds. What I always tell my guys at the PD, if they're good for 1 or 2 rounds, they're good for 4 or 5 rounds. All right, and most people have high cap guns, unless you're carrying a 1911 or a revolver. Off duty, I carry a revolver, but if I carry my 5-shot little 357, I always carry a reload somewhere with me. Don't get in the habit of just carrying a gun with 1 mag. Always have a mag somewhere on your body or nearby. We're going to work on failure drills where we're going to fire 2 to 3 shots in the center of the chest and then track up into the head and fire a final fatal headshot.
Hammer.
All right. We're going to work on what we call a non-standard response drill, which is multiple shots to the chest. 3 to 6 round burst. Usually I tap it off at about 5. I don't try to run my gun dry on the guy. You might have a buddy of his show up right around the corner. If you've got an 8-shot pistol, you might want to limit your rounds or you to get a reload going real fast. All right, when we start shooting multiple shots on targets, if you're down range and you get in a gunfight and you fired multiple shots on the target, all right, this magazine here has got about 10 rounds in it. All right. I've shot a few rounds of it doing some of the demos. All right, if I fire some rounds and I want to, and I've dropped the target, go through my second sight picture and scan and everything, and for whatever reason, I think that another target might come up or present itself, what I'm going to do is do a tactical reload. All right, y'all can practice these if you want to. We're not going to go over them. I'm going to show you. Everybody knows the difference between a speed reload and a tactical reload, or reload with retention. Somebody don't? All right, you guys don't?
IDPA, where you like keep your mag and do a, you know what I'm saying, there's still one hot, but you, a wet reload.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they scream at you when you do that, saying that's illegal in the matches.
I'm a USPS.
Someone threw a shit fit about it. I did it once.
What, did a wet reload in a match and they threw a fit? Because you didn't run the gun dry?
Yep.
Well, see, that's IDPA. They got too many rules, man. USPSA, it's haul ass. I don't ever slide lock, ever.
Really?
See,
and that's the way I am. I'm a big advocate.
And they also got pissed off that you didn't keep the gun straight down when you did the
reload. You don't have to reload the gun. It doesn't go to slide lock like this right here. That's better, all right? And that's one thing that we train with the rifle, with the shotgun, when there's a lull in the gunfight, which means you've already put your targets down, you've already done a good scan. Whenever I'm in the middle of it, I fire my shots, I'm going to reassess him, get my slack taken out, make sure I don't need to hit him again. Straight trigger finger, I'm going to depress the muzzle looking over the sights, and I'm going to do a scan. If I've been in a gun sight, you're going to want to do a wider scan and be looking, because it's one thing that Indians got, they got buddies. They're going to start burning tires, the daggone freaking smoke's going to come up, and everybody that's his friend's going to start coming around. All right, I'll scan, do a wider scan, and look out, and as I come back, I always look over my back, because you never know who's coming up behind you to get you. One of his buddies, it could be somebody else, but you want to break that daggone tunnel vision down on the target. Eyes up, gun up. Get them loaded like your life depends on it. Back in holster. Two shots from the holster. Stand by. Get good and aggressive behind the gun. Stand by. Don't forget your follow through and stand. Come back. Reverse order. Back in the holster. All right, shooters. 3 shots. 3 shots from the holster. Stand by. Three shots. Again, 3 shots from the holster. Stand by. Follow through, scan, and back into the holster. 4 shots, 4 shots. Stand by. Alright, shooters back in the holster. This time, 5 shots, 5 shots. From the holster, stand by. Finger drill from the holster, stand by.
I'm at the end.
Watch over the shots. Make sure you track up into the head. Make sure and track up into the head on the head shots. Don't fire it low in the neck. If you get him in the neck, go ahead and give him an extra one and put it right in the center of his noodle. Shooters on the line from the holster. Failure drill. Stand by.
Depends what age.
Holster up. Failure drill. Stand by. Watch your stance. Failure drill. Stand by. Back in the holster when you're ready. Failure drill. Stand by. Stand by. See where that last one went? Try to step too high. I'm going to bump it up. Just slow it down on that last shot. You know you're going to be bursting out. But slow it down just a little bit, fine tune and press before you break that shot. All right. Same drill from the holster. Ladder drill. Stand by. From the holster, ladder drill.